right, I'm Tom, and we are here today with a man named Cash.
That's right.
And it looks like he's got June Carter Cash with him.
Hey.
So this is Eric and Megan,
sir.
Yes.
and you've got a act. I mean, it's more than just a band.
It's a tribute show, but it's really also just a straight up rock and roll show, or a straight up like old school country show where it's just purely live, and we just hit it.
For our listeners here, you guys were at the Sharon last evening,
Yeah.
and we were lucky enough to see you guys there. It was awesome. It is a full blown country rock show, the type that you just don't get to see every day anymore. That's there's a lot of bands that come and play band, like a band, and there's nothing wrong with that. This was entertainment. This was a show.
Yeah, that's really what we go for. We go for that that kind of later Johnny Cash, from like that his peak from the 1960s, late 1960s to the 70s, where it was a little bit of a variety show. You had Carl Perkins on the show, killer rockabilly player. You saw Scotty play, Scotty back in the show, killer rockabilly player.
Yes.
So we're not that kind of boom chicka boom with the stand up bass.
Yeah.
That honestly, that gets boring. 2 hours of that, is that's a hard 2 hours. I mean, even Johnny Cash knew that. As the way I always say that, where he would structure his shows out from the late 60s, where he'd have people open, or he'd have the Statler brothers open up. Carter family would do a little bit. He'd come out, he'd leave. June Carter would do some stuff. Carl Perkins would do some stuff. He would come back. And we set it up really that way. So it's constantly evolving. It's constantly changing the show. It's not just...
even our outfits changing.
Changing clothes.
Exactly.
It's not just a guy coming out in a trench coat and standing there being like, "Oh, here's the train coming," for a couple of hours. It's very energetic.
Similar to what he used to do at the Ryman and different places.
Yeah.
He
Had that.
had a variety show for a while.
And that was his reputation. I mean, those guys. You put on a show when he came out, and that whole new beginning of music was starting with Sun Records and Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis, and all those guys were out on tour together in the beginning, and they've got all these kids, teenage kids in the crowd, and they were putting on shows. I mean, they were like, nobody was just standing there in front of the mic and just
right.
What are they what's the term that they used to use for their loitering on stage?
Yeah.
Where you're just, I don't know, I'm just going to stand here and sing some songs.
No, it was activity.
Yeah.
Absolutely activity. So how long have you been doing A Man Named Cash?
We don't really keep track. It's been quite a few years.
It has been quite a few years. Yeah.
Yeah. We had
a break too, because he went on the tour, the estate tour. And so we had a little break, and then he came home, and we hit it hard again. And we've been snowballing since then. The shows just keep coming and getting, we work for them, obviously.
Oh, yeah. It just doesn't happen. You just don't put your name out there.
No, it doesn't just happen.
Yes, right. 10 years you've been doing it, you think, or?
I think just under, I think probably about 7 years.
About 7?
We've been at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that doing the, when I got the call from the estate to do the tour for them, that took a year out of doing this, because that was about 7 months on the road. So this was on a little bit of a break, and then once we got back, that show helped quite a bit for doing this, because that gave this show
a resume.
Yeah, really. I mean,
Resume.
I'm just the only guy to ever be
right.
Appointed by the estate to sing the Father songs that has a show. And that gave this show a little bit more momentum. And I think we just had a bit more drive once I got back and was out on the road. And that show was great, but it was somebody else's show. It was a producer show. I was just a guy. I was just like, here's, sing this,
stand there,
do this,
wear
stand
that.
there. Yeah. And I had to do just what they said. And it was great because it was so stress free. I didn't have to worry about anything. I don't worry about catering. I don't have to worry
Yeah.
about where's the van. I got to worry about
where's
where's
Scotty
Scotty.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I just 4:30 sound check and then show, then I take a shower, get back on the bus and drink some tea, and I go
Yeah.
to bed, do it over again, and just
But this is ours.
yeah.
This
And
is our baby.
I definitely miss that, doing that show, being able to do things like, well, like yesterday for Villagers for Veterans, we did songs that we don't always do, but that's exciting for us to be able to do that. We did,
Yeah.
like, Remember the Alamo, then
We did Drive On.
Drive On, which was a really important song for Johnny Cash, and those are ones that we don't normally do, but we like to be able to cater a bit to where we're going, to be able to mix up the show to wherever we are.
Yeah, I played to the basically the demographics of who your customers are, and that's
Yeah.
how you keep everybody happy and also. And it is, as you know now, it is a ton of work to put on these shows. It is way more work than people think.
Oh, we sleep
Yeah.
like the dead after a show.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. And then we wake up and we're like, okay, we have a lot of work to do.
yeah, to get ready for the next one.
Well,
and
even-
get back home and
Even to post about the one that happened yesterday, like, yeah,
Right.
all right, so we got to go through all the pictures, we got to go through all the videos and get moving.
On the outside, it might be easy to think like, oh wow, we just did this great show at the Sharon. The venue was great, the people were great, everything was just perfect.
But that's owning your own
And you're-
business.
it is.
Yeah.
It's your,
It is. Yeah, it's
You don't punch a clock. You're on all the time.
right.
Yeah.
You're always going to be when you're your own boss, as you're finding out. It doesn't matter really what industry it is. If you want to make it successful, you own it, and when you own it, you live it, you drink it, you sleep
Yeah.
it, and that's the way it is.
Yeah, and it is the thing that people say. We have agents, we have management, we have all that, but at the end of the day, the cliche, nobody's ever going to work harder
That's right.
for
For
your
us
show
than
and for
us.
your business than yourself.
Exactly.
And it really does come down to that. I mean, this show at the Sharon, this was us. Like, we put all this together. This one, I mean, and this was a great show.
So how long have you been a musician?
I picked up playing guitar when I was, let's say, 12 or 13, and started playing guitar, bass actually first, playing bass, then guitar, and then picking up everything I could along the way, piano, drums, and it wasn't until a little bit later on where singing became a thing for me. Definitely post puberty for this
Yeah.
register of my singing came out.
So did you know at a very young age, though, that Johnny Cash was something that you could do and wanted to do, or did that come later on?
No, that definitely came later on. Because the things that I would listen to, say when I was a kid, stuff when I say it was like 12 or 13, like Duran Duran was
Yeah.
great and stuff like that. I'm
You
like,
weren't
well,
you weren't singing Duran Duran.
yeah, well, I can't sing that. And then, you get a little bit older, you're like, all right, well, Led Zeppelin, like Led Zeppelin's great. Like, well, I can't sing Led Zeppelin. And then, later teenager, I get Rebellion. I'm this post-punk kid, listen to all these goth bands, and some of that because the guys in those types of bands had deep, creepy voices. I'm like, well, I can kind of do that. And a little bit later on, when my family moved from New York down to Florida, down to Melbourne, is when I discovered Johnny Cash, and I discovered him through 8-track cassettes that I would get at pawn shops. I loved old cars, I still do, and they had 8-track players, so
Yeah.
I'd have to find 8-tracks. And what would you find in 8-tracks were lots of old stuff like Johnny Cash. So I would just get everything I could possibly get to have somebody listen to in a car. And back then in Melbourne, Florida, if you're talking about 20, 25, more than that years ago, wasn't a whole lot going on down there other than driving around in an old car and smoking cigarettes is basically what you did. and I discovered the album Any Old Wind That Blows. I'll never forget this. And that's not a Johnny Cash album. It's a early 70s, not at all one of his biggest hits. And I quickly realized like it was hard to find the biggest hits on 8-track because if you played an 8-track more than a couple times, it basically broke.
Yeah, or you were shimming it up with a quarter,
Yeah,
a piece
so-
of cardboard. Yeah,
So it was pretty hard. You basically you found the albums that maybe weren't the biggest sellers because that's the only 8-tracks that would last. So I started with that, but that song had a couple songs. One of them was called "Best Friend." That was a song written by Roy Orbison that Johnny Cash did, and it was this very kind of dark song, very moody song. And I just loved it. I just started singing along with it. And I'm like, well, I can do that. And I just liked the vibe of it, the feel of it. It was just this cool, it was just something cool about it. It was just kind of dark and it just had like an attitude to it. It was just different. It wasn't, flashy, and it was just what I was into at that time. I was just like, this is just something that's like cool, man. And just started grabbing up every 8-track I could find of Johnny Cash, everything I can get. And eventually found things like Folsom Prison, the live albums, and San Quentin albums. And from there is where it really started, where the singing part really took over, where I would start singing along with that stuff like crazy.
how about you, Megan? Where did
I I was 2 years old, and I was 80% deaf. You could drop a pop behind me, ask me if I wanted ice cream, and I wouldn't respond. But I have two older brothers. One plays guitar, and they both play guitar, but this one at this particular point was taking piano lessons, and I love my older brothers, love them. So I'm always like attached to them. And at 80% deaf, I would sit next to my brother Christopher, and he would play the piano, and I couldn't hear it, so I would wrap my arms and legs around the piano leg to feel the vibrations. And I started playing somehow. My parents were often having an argument in the kitchen, and they were, I guess, they had gotten up, and my father's like, Christopher, knock it off already, and they walk in the other room, and there I am. And so I played piano for a long time. And, when I got into my early 20s, I moved away from home and didn't have a piano at hand anymore. Had a breakup. I locked myself in a room with my father's guitar, and I learned to play guitar. And then I was like, well, let's start booking some gigs. Why not? It's so funny because I was listening to you tell your story about how you've done all of this research, and it's so you. And this is so me. Then I'm like, well, let's just book a gig. And so I started booking gigs and playing acoustic. And I, had a friend that I used to sing with, and it just kind of evolved from there.
that's an amazing story. That's a great story.
Like her range is you're very different from me because I've got an odd voice because the lows I'm very good with, and then if when I was in bands, it'd be like in a cover band or original bands that I was in, and I was singing backup, I can hit really high, really really high stuff, like
the Gibbs.
Barry Gibb high stuff.
Yeah,
But there's nothing in the middle. There's nothing in there.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I just
Yeah.
can't do it.
yeah.
But her voice, she obviously in this show, not a problem. But she'll do gigs, like she just did a gig recently with a show that was all 80s, and she was doing the lead singer for that. So she's singing Journey and I mean Pat Benatar and
Crew
Iron Maiden
and Maiden.
and
Wow.
just killing it. So
fun.
her range is to me is pretty phenomenal. But I think that's also our interest in all these other types of music is what helps make this show
More entertaining.
better and more
Yeah.
entertaining, because I don't look at it from day one. I never looked at it like, well, we're a Johnny Cash show. We're just going to go out and do Johnny Cash. I'm like, no, this is a show. I want lights. I want this to be no different than if you were seeing some major, if you were seeing, Zeppelin at the Garden. If you were this, I want this to be big. It's got to sound big. It's got to look big. I want lighting. I have very intricate lighting cues that we have, especially like you saw last night with the acoustic set we do, where it's just, We want a black. We want a spotlight. We want to just create a mood throughout the whole show. And I think a lot of that comes from just being interested in other types of music. I think one of the dangers for some musicians is they're just like, I only do this. Or I'm just a jazz player, and I'm just a this, or I'm just a classical player. And I've played classical guitar also for a big part of my life. And a lot of those guys, they want nothing to do with it. They're a little bit snobbish, and they don't want nothing to do with it. Like, this is all I do. I just do classical, and it's great at what you do, but you're just pretty confined.
Yeah, well, you don't get to. I mean, for you to go do this and then go out and do a '80s thing, that's a lot of fun for you, I'm sure.
I had the time of my life.
Yeah.
At sound check yesterday, I sang the final countdown.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah.
And Scotty Mac goes, "Oh God!" I was like,
Yeah. Well, and it gives you some versatility. You're, not to say that people won't always want to hear Cash, but you've got some versatility. And
Right.
Are you doing that on a regular basis at all, or just kind of one-offs here and there?
just here and there. The band that I was playing with, they're super well respected in the Northeast. They're called Aquanet. They are fantastic, but they were without a singer for a few months, and they graciously let me step in and play a couple of shows with them. So I'm playing like 3 shows with them, and then see what happens.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, what size venues? Do you always try and get venues about the size of the Sheerness, so you've got the big stage presence and all this stuff? Because you wouldn't want to do your act in a small.
Oh, we don't mind. We really
love it all.
Yeah. Okay. Small ones too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We'll do generally if we do a smaller venue. We'll end up doing a couple shows. Do a matinee and do an evening show, or sometimes even 3. Do a matinee evening, then another matinee afterwards. But they're all different, and we really like it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go. One of the perfect examples of
I know exactly
how
what
it
you're
all
gonna
can
talk
roll,
about.
and again, love every minute of it. But we were, what was it? Was that in September, a couple months
I
ago?
don't know.
We were out. The first call was to go to Bentonville, Arkansas, to play at the Momentary, like amazing venue, and they had the Jim Marshall exhibit going on. So Jim Marshall, famous photographer, for musicians, he took what's considered one of the most famous rock and roll music photographs, where Johnny Cash giving the middle finger to the camera. He took that picture at San Quentin during the sound check. He was the only photographer allowed for either of those shows that became those 2 albums, at Folsom and at San Quentin. And he had a lot of photos of Johnny Cash backstage on his bus getting ready for those 2 shows, and his son put together an exhibit of his photos, some of them never seen before, and we were asked to come out and perform the show there in conjunction with that exhibit. Amazing place, state of the art, everything you can want. It really just like the Sharon was, where we get backstage and it's just everything. Sometimes in the backstage writers, you just throw everything in there that you possibly can think of, like take out the red M&Ms, do this, everything you can think of. And then sometimes you get to a show and they do it. You're like, oh man, now I feel bad. I didn't really think you'd do it. But, and the Sharon was like that. It was amazing.
It was amazing.
And Bentonville was like that. And
But
we
the night
tacked on.
before-
Yeah. We were like, well, let's tack on a routing show for this one. And Shawnee, Oklahoma. Would you like to tell them a little about Shawnee, Oklahoma, honey?
Listen, it was an amazing show. The staff was great there.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was in an old haunted theater though, and they had a morgue underneath, and I want to say a lot of spirits in the space above. We basically, our dressing rooms were like particle board clipped together with staples,
Yeah.
jumping spiders everywhere.
Yeah.
And we ate Chick-fil-A, like literally sitting on, piano
cases,
stools
yeah,
and
road
road
cases
cases in the
backstage,
backstage. And we had just as good a time as any other time.
That's probably as real as a Johnny Cash show that you ever did. Probably.
Yeah,
You'd say.
I know,
You probably did that lots of times, except for Chick-fil-A. Probably wasn't.
yeah,
on there.
the Chick-fil-A.
But so we really everything across the board is and that keeps it exciting too. I mean, having that variety. Sometimes you're in amazing hotels. Sometimes you're driving overnight and you're just staying where you can stay. And sometimes
So are you guys flying into most of your stuff, or are you bussing around? How are you getting around?
Well, that brings up
mostly-
something else.
Yeah, we'll mostly fly, but
we
mostly we
mostly
fly in, yeah, and then we'll have everything kind of backlined for us once we get there.
We've been having the debate on what to buy as a should we buy a touring van or a minivan and a trailer, and
Oh yeah,
then the whole he goes down the spiral.
Yeah, never ending debate on transportation.
Yeah.
what
Just
to get?
just remember, it's much easier to buy than it is to sell. Well, that's
Yeah, I know. Well, that's part of the problem because that's like I'm always thinking that. Well, the resale value on this thing's not gonna be too good. It might be fun now. So
yeah.
And much like me, where I'm like, I'm just going to start booking gigs. I'm like, can we just buy something?
yeah.
Because we have to drive out to Michigan in a month, and we don't have anything.
Oh yeah, that was one. Yeah, we do. We're out in Michigan in December. We have to.
Did you guys are playing in Cadillac, right?
We're in Cadillac and in Jackson.
Cadillac and Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We're
you're
excited
no
about that.
stranger to that.
I'm no stranger to Michigan. I lived there way too long. I lived there for many, many years. But let's see. I've been here for 7, and then I was in Atlanta for about 14. But I'm very familiar with snow. I'm very familiar with all that stuff. And you guys are too. You're from New York. So
Yes.
Yeah.
But you were smart enough to get out of it.
it took a while.
Yeah.
It took a while. I didn't realize the sun shined as much as it did till I got out of there. So
Right?
yeah. You're in upstate New York.
We're
right?
in upstate New York.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's-
We're near Lake George.
So you have the same thing. You have the overcast and
It's
For
that
about 7
you're in
months.
that
Yeah.
valley that you're right in there, and that sun just.
yeah. I can remember being the first month in Georgia going, is this like a weird month or does the sun shine like this all the time? And it turns out it does.
Somebody pinch me.
Yeah, it turns out it does. Well, that's I'm glad you guys were able to come in here and talk because this gives people a chance to kind of meet you a little bit personally and understand that there's a big difference between what they see and what it takes to make that happen, and it's a lot. It is a lot, and I'm glad that the villages here supported you. It's like there was very few seats, if any, I think left. I mean, very few.
We were really surprisingly and happily shocked at that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was a great show.
Yeah, I think Marie at the end of it, she said even day of show,
We sold
she
like 50 tickets.
Yeah.
60 or something
Yeah.
tickets. Which is what pretty much was just left.
Yeah.
So all that was left was those pesky little one-seaters that are
Yeah, it's
you
still
know,
low.
that you get rid of unless you get that one guy who's like, oh, let's go to a show tonight by myself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no way to get rid of them. But they were anything that was grouped together was gone.
Yeah, but in the villages, like there's so many options. You know what I mean? And so I felt super grateful that people chose us.
Yeah.
Because you have a world of options. There's music 7 days a week, and there's all sorts of places you can go.
There is.
And they chose to come and see us.
And
like,
a lot of them
that's
that
pretty awesome.
don't have ticket prices, and that's an exceptional
right.
thing. So I told you on our first time we talked to play at the Sharon, you're a high caliber musician. They just don't bring anybody in there for that. So have you ever thought of doing the Highwaymen?
I have, and I've been asked to do the Johnny part in a couple Highwaymen shows. The Highwaymen, I think is great, but I think there's not that much really to fill.
No,
2 hours of Highwaymen is
That's
a lot of Highwaymen.
it could just be a nice addition once in a while to your existing show or something like that if you had the players around. But
Yeah, I think it might be kind of a cool thing to do. Now that you say that, it's just getting in my
Yeah.
head. Having something have like almost like a Highwaymen opener as like an opening act to do
Yeah.
4 or 5 songs and then have our show.
Yeah.
So now my wheels are turning.
There you
Thinking
go.
If that's something that we can maybe even do and set that up as like an opener. That would be
Casting
interesting.
calls start next week.
Casting calls
Yeah.
next week. That's it.
Yeah, and they did actually. Johnny Cash and Waylon did go out on the road together too, for a while, doing a show where they were kind of just going almost like, now that I think about it, like a Billy Joel, Elton John type of thing, where they were just kind of the they'd go back and forth. Johnny would leave, then Waylon would come out, and got a few bootlegs of that stuff. See, that's what happens to me. The problem is that once you get an idea like that, like you plant the seed, now that's all I'm going to be thinking about.
Who's going to be Willie? Who's going to be Chris?
Yeah,
who's going to be
who can we get?
Waylon?
I will personally conduct the Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, I know you will.
Auditions
Yeah,
myself if that has to happen.
Oh, she loves Chris Christophers.
Almost as much as you love Anita Carter.
Yeah, I do love Anita.
Now, see,
Fair enough.
I remember that from last night. So,
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
well, again, pleasure having you two on. Man, we wish you all the luck, and I'll kind of keep tabs now that I know how to watch you. You're on Facebook and stuff, and see
everything,
where you guys are at.
Yeah.
And we'll be in touch too when the show is out, and then also how people can get and watch your stuff and whatever. Do you sell merch at all in your?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Yep. Every show we've got the merch hanging out, and then should be able to get it online.
Soon enough.
Yeah, soon enough
Yeah.
through our website. But yeah, or if somebody does want something for merch, they would just message and
All right.
we'll send it out through the website.
Sounds good.
Mannamecash.com.
Mannamedcash.com, and we'll get that in there.
Alrighty.
Thank
We'll
you
get that
so
in the
much
script.
for having us.
I appreciate you coming because, like I said, it's not you got plenty of things to do, and I'm glad that you took some time over to come and talk.
No, this is great. This is always
this
fun.
is awesome.
It's always good. It's always fun to do.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.